what it is, y'all. We got to talk about episode 20. Holy crap. This was right out of the gate. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think this is my first 10 out of 10 in this season. This episode was brutal. Like, I already obviously know the story, but seeing it animated was a whole other venture. Obviously, coming out of the gate right in the episode, you get the massive explosion. You've got Jura that basically is trying to. They're using the Blaze Stones to try to blow up the Estrella Familia, and the Estrella Fam, to show you how awesome they are, basically unscathed. Like, they really just don't look like they've been damaged whatsoever. They look completely untouched. And they're kind of going back and forth, and they're little posturing and taunting each other. And that's when the roof opens up and the Juggernaut drops in. And I'm just going to say, I think someone mentioned it in the comments a couple episodes ago, it really feels like this Juggernaut, I don't remember levels and all that stuff, but it really feels like this one is at least one, if not two levels above the one we saw earlier in the franchise. This was, I mean, a whole other level of destruction. Immediately this thing drops in and just starts tearing, like, and I'm not even joking, like tearing people limb from limb. It was nerve-wracking, dare I say, to watch. It was brutal. They held nothing back. They really gave you, there was no reprieve during the whole battle. And every single time that you thought there was going to be some kind of upper hand, in fact, they did show you at some point that a couple of their mages shot a magic attack, and it just sent it back flying, and like, you know, just like it did with Bell and all them, and then literally fried Lyra's eyes. Lyra's now blind. Kaguya's missing an arm, and Estrella's been completely skewered. She's been run through. It was brutal. It was really, really rugged, and it was at times hard to watch. And then, after literally gorging itself on some of the Estrella Fam members, it then takes off after the Evilist members, because, you know, this is the dungeon. It doesn't care. It holds no allegiances. So it goes after those members, and Elise, Kaguya, and a now blinded Lyra, one-eyed Kaguya, or one-armed Kaguya, blinded Lyra, and an Elise who has been mortally wounded, approach Ryu, and they're like, you know, they're posturing about why they have to keep her alive and things like that. But the reality is, if you're paying attention, they're not going to make it out. I mean, I guess Kaguya could. Lyra's done for. She's blind. Her whole face is essentially a scar at this point. You know, Elise has been run straight through, and we've seen people survive that, but let's be honest here. You know, their mages are gone, their healers are gone, and they really focus in on Kaguya, like, bleeding out. And they have their last stand, and obviously we know it doesn't work out. If you haven't watched the episode, none of that should be huge spoilers. Well, probably some of it might be, but it's like that moment where I really want to go back and watch it again. But the reality is, it was such a hard episode to watch at times. It sent chills down my spine. It really did. It was rugged, and the art style was beautiful. It was well made. It never, ever once in that whole battle gave up. They brought their A game in animation. They brought their A game in pacing, and frankly, it just showed how just what a force of I'd say nature, but it's not even nature at that point technically. But yeah, it the Juggernaut just cut an absolute swath through everybody, and you even get a feeling like many of the members of Evilus are dead. Um, you get Jorah that is eventually hiding behind a tree, while Ryu is doing her thing, and yeah, Ryu even mentions like she escapes, and after she heals, she comes back, and there's not a trace of the other fighters except for their weapons. Everything's gone. The bodies were eaten, the bones were eaten. Everything is gone except their weapons. And as you can see behind me, she makes a memorial, which we've seen multiple times now in the intro, and throughout the series of, just this reminder of what went down. And it's hard to watch too, because she doesn't want to go back to the Estrella headquarters and admit what happened, but she does, and she begs Estrella. She's like, "You've got to leave town." And there's a question: is it Estrella's the goddess of justice? They mentioned it multiple times, and she did not remove the Falna, the blessing as they call it in the series. She didn't remove any of that from Ryu. So Ryu still has her abilities and still has her powers and her level and all that stuff. And Estrella even says, "Give up on justice." And it's like she knows that, as we see next, this huge revenge plot is going down. And it's the big question, and I know some people are going to mention what happened in the light novel, but guys, remember, a lot of people are getting this from the anime, so try to relate this strictly to the anime. It's it leaves you wondering as an anime only viewer, was that intentional? But she was, she's the goddess of justice. It's it leaves you pondering, and I think that's the most important part of it, is that you as the viewer are now put in this same awkward situation that Ryu's in. But obviously she does go on her revenge plot, and all said and done, she wipes out Evilus, and she even mentions she does it through the most despicable of means, traps and late night attacks and things like that. Like you really get the idea of why she has a bounty on her head. And one of the interesting parts of the episode was when she finally meets back up with Jorah, and she takes the knife, I guess technically it would be a tanto, but she takes that, the one that Kaguya gave her, and just starts repeatedly just stabbing him and stabbing him. And you start to get the idea of like why this dude really had it out for her. Because he survives this. And like anybody who survives something like that is going to be like, yeah. But at the same rate, you did kind of ask for it. Let's not beat around the bush. They did very much ask for it. But yeah, she's saved by Seer, obviously brought to the pub, and the thing they didn't show you is she does cut her hair and she dyes her hair, so she doesn't quite, like, she's obviously still Ryu, but she's sort of in hiding. It's not a great disguise, but I would imagine with Mamma Mia being who she is, it's all of the disguise she really needs. Yeah, so it was brutal, and the whole thing culminates with Ryu waking up to Belle essentially taking care of her. They found a secret passage under the Colosseum. They don't really equate how they get down there. There's just, you got to go back to the previous episode, and essentially they've just battled their way. There's a huge explosion. They've fallen down to the bottom of the Colosseum, and they find out that the entire time there was a passage under the Colosseum, and there's a river down there. And more or less, what winds up happening is one of the barbarian monsters comes down there and uh, attacks Bell, but you find out later on Bell basically was faint. He was faking it, so the barbarian would come in close, so he wouldn't have to exert as much energy. Something they've done multiple times already in the series, and I kind of figured when it was happening that's what was going on. Like it didn't seem like, obviously Bell's exhausted, but at the same rate, it's not a new tactic for them. And obviously Ryu starts, she's already been having these flashbacks. She gets flashbacks again of Elise and all that. But when they get to the river, they find that, the water's good and all that. And it ends with them basically just chilling here. It was a somber episode, but a brutal episode, and everything was just absolutely on point. I know I just like glossed over everything, but honestly, the whole fight with the Juggernaut and with Evilus and all that was just absolutely brutal, but also beautiful in a way. It's hard to equate. 10 out of 10, guys. I don't know if maybe I'm just blinded by what the episode was and the emotional impact of it. May very well be. I'll probably go back and rewatch it here later on and amend my score at some point. But right now, I'm going to say it's a solid 10 out of 10. Loved it. I say couldn't get enough of it, but at the same rate, obviously it's a rough one to watch. But that's going to be the video. Like, comment, share. We'll be back. We've got 3 episodes left in the series. And when the last episode does air, guys, I've got some Hestia Challenge coins. I have 4 of these to give away. We will be figuring out before the next episode airs how we're going to be doing that. We'll probably wind up doing it through the Discord. These were actually given to me by High Dive back at a convention in October. So if you want to win one of those challenge coins, make sure you guys join the Discord. I'll announce everything there. Like, comment, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys for the next Danmachi episode review next Thursday. I'm still going to go back and rewatch it. It was great.